welcome to the second class for our mySQL or SQL class. And so yesterday we talked about creating a database. We know what a database is, or a schema. We talked about creating a table. We talked about what a server is in comparison to Microsoft Excel. And we also talked about how, unlike Microsoft Excel, SQL deals with volume, compared to Microsoft Excel that has like the limitation. And because you are dealing with volumes of data, SQL is preferably used, and you can do a lot of amazing things with SQL, but it's syntax based, meaning you have to write your command. You have to actually know what you are doing with your command. So it's really important that you know what you're doing. So yesterday we talked about create database. We talked about from, select. We even did where. We did alter table, update table. That's what we did yesterday. So we also discussed alter table. And we altered the table by adding a column. So today we are actually going to continue from there, still trying to alter tables. And so if you want to, we already have our table down. Now the first thing you do anytime you create your database, you have to specify in mySQL use that particular database. So already we've written this code, and we're just going to run it. You just highlight, then you click on the execute. You can either execute one or this, and it already executes. And what does this do? It will make the database called school, it will make it active, and you see it highlighted in thick, in a thicker black color or bold. You can do this manually by right clicking and say I think it's set default. Yeah, so you can right click and click on set default. It's the same thing as use then the name of that particular database. I'll set this as default. That's the school database as default. So by the time we say use school database, you don't really need to mention database again. You've already created database. It suffices that you just call the name of the database. Then we created a table called student info, and it has an ID, first name, last name, age, and it has a data type. So we said if we want to view our table, all we need to do is to say select star, and what this star just simply represent is all the columns. You don't need to mention all the columns in database. If you so want to, you can say select ID from our first name, comma last name, then comma age. So it's the same thing as saying select star, you understand? But if you have up to 14 columns it will just be weird to actually start typing everything when you can, especially if you want to see how every column in that particular database, in that particular table. So it suffices for you to say select ID, then name, first name, last name, age. By the time I click on execute, you can see my data. So this is also the same thing as um select star or asterisk. So um let's say, I think yesterday we also added address. I So we are going to add, let's say we forgot a particular column. We've created our sorry, excuse me, we've created our column already, and we forgot to add address and maybe some information or phone number, for instance. What we can do is to say, now the difference between, before I continue, the difference between update and alter is two different things. When you want to alter, you call alter, then the name, the table itself, you say alter table, then you now say call the table name. But if you want to use update, you use update and it suffices to call the table name alone. That is one. Second, if you are using update, you are updating something, an entry that is already inside the table itself. You're actually just updating an entry. While altering a table, you're actually trying to alter the structure of a table, be it a column data type, be it adding a column, deleting a column, and stuff like that. Those are things that has to do with the structure of the table itself, how the table is built. However, if you are doing update, you are actually updating every cells, every data point, every data entry in that particular table. So that's just the difference. And so if we want to add a new column, all we just need to do is to say add new column. Already I've written it, but add new column, and would say alter table, then we'll call the name of the table student info, then we'll now say add column. Then, like what we did while creating a table, you give a column name and a column type. So address, then what's the column type? You can just say text, and you end it with a semicolon. Always end it with a semicolon, is really important. Then you can further add attributes if you want. So then you highlight your syntax you've written or your instruction, then you click on execute, or you can say control enter and it's going to execute. You can see alter table, student underscore info, add column, address, then the column, the data type text, role affected 0. Once it shows you this green tick, like I said earlier, it means that you are successful in executing whatever instruction you give. Now for me to now view my table, now I could just go up and copy my view table. Again, I'm going to repeat this process down here because I'm actually beginning to write a lot of code and I don't want to have to be going up every time. Now I can then say add to here address, since I already know, or I'll just say select asterisk. Sorry, excuse me. Oh, so you can actually, the other thing I want you to do, you can actually write a comment inside the syntax and it will still run. It's still going to run. So control enter, it's still going to run, and you can see it has showed me the address. Let's say we also want to add a phone number. We'll just say, we can, because we've already written a syntax on adding a column, we can then say contacts, right? Then we'll say, we can name it variable character or just text. So depending on what you want, you can say variable character. Then phone number is not more than how many? 11, right? Or let's just put 14 for the one that have plus 234, something like that. Then you can see that we didn't need to write the syntax again. All we just needed to do was to edit the syntax we've already written for the same purpose. Click on Control Shift, that's Control Enter. Then I'm going to select my view table and I'll just click on execute, and you can see it has executed. That's how you add tables, as you column in a table, assuming you forgot these columns in the first place. Now let's assume that we want to fill in these columns with attributes or with information. So who's going to give me the address? Just take use the chat box to send me your addresses. So I want to now update, so send your phone number, and no, I don't think we use phone number. You can just call a random phone number. Random address, you don't need to enter your actual address, just give me a random address for me to enter. Send it to me here quickly, I'm waiting. So let's say I want to enter for Khadija or for an Abraham. I can now say update. What am I updating? Student info. I will say set address equal, I'm listening, I'm waiting. I hope that's not a send me your address. Khadija, do the same please. You don't necessarily need to enter an address. So I'm waiting. So okay, so I'm just going to enter this address. Khadija, I'm waiting for you as well. So set address equal this, then comma. I will now say contact, that's the name of my column, equal since we said variable character, we have to put in the inverted comma for string, and we'll just say let's say 070. Khadija, are you in Abuja? I thought you were in Lagos. So no, I didn't know. Okay, that's nice. So I'll say set contact, set address is this, contact is what we've written, and maybe let's just say for Abraham we'll say plus 234, right? Where what? Where? How do we know? We can say where ID equal 3. Why? Right? Where ID equal 3 is Abraham's info. So we want to add extra information. Your phone number, Khadija. Just give me any phone number. Any phone number is fine. Just conjure a phone number. I can't think of any now. So I'm going to run it, execute. And now that I've executed, you can see it has given me a green tick, meaning it was successful. Now if I want to view my table, I'll just select and run. You can see now it has actually entered this information. Now mind you, this information I can actually export it as CSV that you can open in Excel, just so you know. Now I've done that for Abraham. I will now do that for Khadija. It's more stressful than than Excel, right? It looks more stressful than Excel. So Khadija will be where ID is what 2, and I'm going to highlight everything and just execute. So it's successful. I'll view my table again. I have entered the information. Now I'm just going to do for my own.
I'm not seeing your screen again.
I think it's your network. Abraham, can you see my screen?
I can see it now.
Oh, okay. So I'll just enter an address. I'll say 1. Then maybe I'll just enter the phone number. Where this one now will be where ID is equal what? What would this be? My where, which is a clause, it will be what? Where ID is what? Can somebody respond to that? Hello?
Can't hear your question.
I said this one will now be where ID is equal to what if I want to update my own information. Did you hear that?
Yes, that will be where ID equals 1.
No.
Where's your own? Sorry, equals 5.
Okay, good. Means you are following. That's impressive. Control enter. I've done that. It has executed. Now I want to view my table. I'll just highlight, and you can see I started to enter information. And if I want to actually export this information, I can do that. So you see, so excuse me. So you see under the result grid, you can see export. Now look at this. You see export record set to an external file, right? So you can just click on that. It looks like a disk, a floppy disk. So if you click on that, it will ask me, it will just take me to a local directory. I want to save it. I'll just say student info, and it will save it as default a CSV file, and it has different files, but you can save it as a CSV file. You click on save. It has saved it. And once I go to my local directory where this where I saved this file, sorry, hold on, I can then go to so I think so I saved it in this particular place. I'll just right click here, still loading, go to open file location. Then you can see my CSV file here. By the time I right click and open with a notepad, you can see the information here, right? So for Jessica, it's null. Why? Because we didn't enter any value. Does that make sense? So this is how you do data entry in Microsoft in mySQL. So now I'm actually going to create. Then I'll teach us how to. The next place we are going to is how to upload data into MySQL. Now, the other things I would want to teach us, but I'll just go straight to that because those are really important things. So I'll go to. I have some particular data that I've played with. So I have some data here. I have student info. I have profile courses. So I'm going to right click and I'll just open it in Excel so that you guys can see like a friendly version of it. But they are CSV file. So you can see I have I have course code and I have the course name, right? So if you're actually going to do an upload from CSV, it's very easy to import CSV files. So if you're actually going to do an upload from CSV, your column name has to take the exact name as this course code. Not necessarily, but it's preferred that you do that, right? So we are going to upload course name courses. So we'll create a table for courses. We'll create a table for
So are we uploading that CSV file on Excel or where?
no, we're uploading it to mySQL.
Oh God.
What's wrong? Hello, Khadija, you're exclaiming. What's wrong? What's wrong?
I think network. Your voice is breaking.
Abraham, is my voice breaking as well? Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I said we are going to upload. That's interesting. Abraham, can you mute?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so just mute so that, yeah. Should we wait for her so that she should come back online or continue?
Let's go back once you join back.
Yeah, her network is really not friendly. So we are going to.
So maybe my network. Maybe.
Okay, please.
Something that you say.
So what I said is we want to now upload a file to mySQL, and kindly mute. And so if you want to upload a file to mySQL, most especially a SQL a CSV file, whatever is at the top of your role has to match. Not necessarily, but it's important that they have to match. It's not as important, but for me it doesn't necessarily has to be, but just so that you'll be able to map what you have on what you created on your SQL table to the file you are uploading. It's actually best practice they have the same name, right? So we have our admission number for the students. We have for our courses our course code. Now if you look at these are unique, right? So most likely this will be our primary key. You go to the admission number. The admission number is a unique identifier for the student. The reason is because two students can have the same first and last name. In fact, if you have a middle name, two students can actually have it, but the admission number is usually unique, so we are going to use it as primary key. Now before we continue, the third one is carrying student profile. Now this student profile has additional information that is not in the student CSV file. So it has the student, which matches. This looks like the admission number, the age, gender, classroom, and seat number. So we are going to do something a little bit new here. But let me upload the first two. So before I do that, right, I'm going to create. Let me see if I've created anything. Okay. I'm going to drop. I'm going to drop. Okay, so I would create a new table in my school database, right? So I'll say create table. the name of the table is student, then end it with a semicolon. Then what I'm going to enter are the column names. For student, we have admission number underscore no. Then data type, I would say variable character, because it has both alphabet and numeral. We can do a count of it, right? We can do ss2 hyphen 24 hyphen 101. So that would be ss2 is 3 characters, hyphen is 1 character, 24 is 2 characters, that would be 7. Another hyphen is another character, 8. Then 101 is 3 characters, that's 10. But because this looks incremental, I can decide to put, instead of 10, I'll just say 15 characters in case. I can say 13 characters. Then comma. Then we have the first name. We also use variable character. The first name, let's say a name cannot be more than 30 characters. That's 30 alphabets. Then the last name. We're actually going to copy this because we are too lazy to type. So it will be last name. Right. And you don't need to put the comma, your comma in the last syntax you write. So we have admission name, first name, last name, and that's what we have for the student CSV file, right? Then we also want to say, we also want to make our primary key admission number. So we can say, I think if I remember correctly, we can also say primary key, then we'll say admission number. You can also do this, and I think it's accepted. So in the first when we're creating the first table, we used primary key as part of the characteristics for the ID, but you can also, I think you can also do this as well and it work. So you highlight everything and click on execute. So it did execute, right? Now for me to see it, I'll have to, since it's in my school database, because my school database is active, I'll click on the drop down for the table. You can't see it here. The reason is because, like I said, always refresh. Now you can see the student. Now if I want to view my my student table, what will I do? So I want to view my student table. I'll just say again, I'll put a comment, view student table. I'll say what? Select everything. So one of the reasons why we use select everything, sometimes you don't even know the from the table name, which is what, student. Sometimes you don't even know the columns that are in that particular table. So it's safe to use select asterisk or select everything. So you highlight all your syntax, control enter, and you can see our admission number, and you can see this asterisk here. This asterisk means that you have, if I remember correctly, you have a primary key. We can go to our navigator and observe. If you come to indexes, you can see primary key. If you click on it, you can see which column is our primary key. Columns, admission number. Now that we are done with that, we would do the same thing for the courses. So this is, I'm going to make a comment here, create a student table. I'll say create a table called student, name student. I can say create a student table. Now I'm going to just copy because it's the same syntax. I'll copy Control V. We want to create a course table, right? Now when we are done with creating, before we create our course table, Now that we have sorry, excuse me. Now that we have our student table, what can we then do? We can click on our student table, right click, and go to I think, let me see. Oh, this is interesting. It's supposed to be an import, but it's still fine. What I can do is to click on, if I remember correctly, data import. I'll go to server and click on data import. Oh no, I think this is not where I'm supposed to go to. Okay, this is not where I'm supposed to go to. Sorry, many apologies. Let me cancel that. I think I should practice more. Actually forgotten where to go to. This is interesting. So just give me a moment. Let me check the documentation. Just hold on. You click on the server, go to data import, and a pop-up would come up, and instead of import from dump project, you click on import from self-contained file. It will ask you the address for this particular file. You just click on these three dots here, then you just go to the location where this particular information is. Solve student info. Okay, what I want is all files, CSV. The schema will be cool. Sorry, just so in trying to import this data, actually I was wrong. Instead of going to data import, you just go to, you see this export import. This is for exporting, right? This one here is for importing. Import records from external an external file. So by the time you click on it, this pop-up will come up. Select file to import. Table data import allows you to easily import CSV JSON data files. You can create a destination table on the fly. So I'll click on browse. Where is my data from? Student. This is the file path. Then you click on next. Now it's saying select destination table and additional option. Student, school.student. Is that where I want to take it to? Otherwise, the other school.inf student info. So I'll take it to school.student, and I'll click on existing file. Right. Truncate table, you don't need to do this. So you click on next. Now you have to now map. What are you mapping? Encoding UTF-8. That is the encoding for CSV file. You can see now the source column, which is your where you are taking your data from, notice that it has admission number, first name, last name, and the destination column, which is our table where we are importing has these two as well, which is why you are seeing this as a drop down. Now notice that, let's assume the last name is the admission number, has the admission number. You just click on the drop down and go to last name. You understand? But it already did the mapping. It's kind of intuitive enough, which is why it is really important that these column names matches the ones on your table. So it has done that for us. If it's not like that, then you adjust it accordingly. Once you're done, you click on next, import. So the following will now be performed. Please monitor the execution. It will prepare import data file. You click on next, and you can see as it clicks on this check that is good, it means everything is correct. You can click on show logs to see what it has done. It has import all the data, import data, file finished, finish performing tasks. You are good. Next and finish. Now that it has done that, you still need to go and view your table by selecting the select all from the student table. You execute, and you can now see our data. Can you see it? It's already there, simple and clean. Now for our courses, we'll do the same thing. So we'll create our course table called courses, and we have course code, right? Course underscore code. We'll leave the variable character as 13, and we have course underscore name, and let's say we leave it at 30. We are going to remove this, the last name. Then we can just say, instead of remove the comma at the last syntax, then you say primary key. This is fine so as well. So you say primary key, right? And it's the same thing as putting primary key here as a standalone syntax, and for open bracket open close, then you enter which column you want to be the primary key. Once I'm done, I'll just highlight and run the syntax, and you can see that a table has been created. If you want to check, you just need to click on this refresh, and you can see the course table. Now I'm going to view the course. Just highlight this, come here, Control V. I'll now say from select all from courses. Then I'm just going to highlight everything, and I'll run it, execute. You can now see it, course code, course name, and I want to import this CSV file. I'll click on this particular icon, import. This is going to come up, and it actually stored our last information, the file path. You click on browse because we want a different CSV file, which is courses. You click on it, next. Use existing table because we have existing table, school.course. If that's not what you want, where you want to take import the table to, you can click on the drop down, and it has other options. Next, now you can see course name, course code, course name, which is what we want. This is the source. It has course name but no underscore hyphen, but on our table that we created, we said underscore hyphen. Remember why I said you should on underscore, especially naming your column. And click on next, click on OK. Everything looks fine. You can click on show logs if you want, next, and you are finished. Now I want to view my course again. All I just need to do is to highlight the syntax of viewing my table, my course table, and execute, and you can see everything is here now. So the last table we also want to create is the student info table. Now I'm just going to copy, I think let's see, I'll just copy everything here, Control C, Control V. Now I want to create a student profile table. So I can say create table. I'll just say student underscore profile as the name. You can use any name, but just make sure that you don't give it a space, use underscore. So in the student name, we have student, that is a variable character. We have what do we have? We have age, gender, classroom, and seat number. Our age is integer, our gender is variable character, classroom variable character, seat number integer. Okay, so we have age is integer, comma, we have gender variable character. Now gender, we know the highest character in gender is female, which is 6 characters. Then we have classroom.
What did I miss?
You missed a lot, but let's continue.
The class got to end, sir.
Yeah, it
Two
will.
more, 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. That's really interesting. So classroom is ss2, so we can just say 4 characters. Then seat number underscore number. Seat number is integer. Now our seat number is what we want to use as the primary key, so we'll just say primary key is seat number. Then the last attribute is a foreign key. Mind you, there is a similarity between the student profile and our student. What is the similarity? Admission number. Let me just bring this aside here. Oh, can you guys see ss2-2024? So if you notice that between this student in the student profile and admission number and the admission number in the student CSV file, you can see similarities. ss2-24-101, which is similar to this. What it means is that the owner of this information is in the role 2 is the same owner of this information. Let's look. You can see that Emily Johnson sounds like a female name. You can see female ss2. She's sitting on seat number 1. So there's a similarity between here and here. Now if you see anything like this, that you see a particular table, a particular column in a table that is similar to another column, what you call this column in relative to this is called a foreign key. Now a foreign key is a primary key in another table. A foreign key in one table is a primary key in another table. Is a way to join this table or to connect this table to this particular table. So I just wanted to explain that before we continue with our creating of this particular table. Now we would say foreign key. I want to do the relationship. Foreign key. What's the name of the foreign key? Student. You will now say references. What are we referencing to? We are referencing to the students, table. What column are we referring to? We are referring to admission number in the student table, or admission underscore number. And now we are done. We can now highlight everything and run. And you can see everything is successful. Want to view, say student. Okay, we need to refresh and see our student profile. If I click drop down, if I click on this foreign key, you can see our foreign key is, the target is student table and what column? Admission number. If we go to our indices, you see primary and student, which is our foreign key. So we will now say select all from student underscore profile, then highlight everything, control enter. You can see our table. Now I want to import this particular CSV file, this student profile, to our SQL table. I'll just come to this This is export. Remember, this is import. You click on this import. You have a pop-up tab. Where do you want to import this file from? So the file path, you click on browse. So I will navigate to where I kept my my CSV file for my student profile. This is it here. Double click on it. Click on next. So you can either create a new table or use existing table. Use existing table. Now what I want to import it to is school.student profile, right? Click on next, and I will now do my mapping. So you can see we have student to student, age to age, gender to gender, classroom to classroom, seat number to seat number. We are good on that. Click on next, next, and it has imported correctly, and you click on next and finish. You are done. Now I'm going to view that particular table again, and voila, we already have our um our student profile information. Now I'm going to do this last thing before we leave. Now the one thing I can do is I can join this our student profile to our student. How would I do that? Remember that we have a similarity between student profile and student, which is what? Admission number for the student and profile, and for the student profile, students, right? So I can use that as a connecting point, as a bridge. How would I do that? So I'll just put join student and student profile tables. I would say select all from, so you start with the first table you want to use. I'll use student table. Now I can name my student, I can give my student table an alias, a nickname. I can say student table S. I don't need to put as. So ordinarily you say as S, but I can just say as, I just say S. I've already given it a nickname, a capital letter S. I will now say join. What am I joining? Student profile. Student profile. I will now say SP. Where am I joining it at? I'll say at sorry. Forgetting the syntax again. On, yeah, on S dot, I will now say admission number equal SP dot student, and I'm done. Now I'm just going to highlight everything and click on enter. Now you can see it has already combined. So my admission number, first name, last name, which was the information I have in my student table, with our new it's to the left with our new information: student, age, gender, classroom, and seat number. Now the one thing we can do is that admission number is the same thing as student name. Now we can then call out our the columns we want to see. So we can remove this asterisk and say s dot admission number, comma, s dot first name, comma, s dot last name, comma, then we'll now say sp dot age, sp dot gender, sp dot classroom, then the last is sp dot seat number. Now if I so want, I can take this my sp dot seat number to the first if I want. So however you call out the names of the column on our select syntax is the way it is going to come out. Always separate one column name with the other with a comma. please highlight everything and run it. Now you can see my seat number is now the first, admission number is second, first name third, last name fourth, age, and like that. If I want the classroom to be maybe in the second, I'll just copy the classroom, sp.classroom, sp.classroom, then I'm just going to take it to the second and and put a comma there, and I'm good. All I just need to do is to run it, and you can see my seat number, my class name. So however you arrange um, the column name in the select syntax is how it's going to display in your table. I think this will be the end. If you have any questions, just ask.